apart, who's reaching the top, only to find you still have my heart.
So I'm here outside the Quick It Plug and Play event, and it's hosted, I think, once a month. This is the third event, and I'm lucky enough to speak here. And I've already been blown away by some of the speakers and the level of talent that has been displayed by South African artists. And I think what's really stood out for me is that whether you're in the music industry, whether you are a blogger, whether you are a videographer, whether you are a writer, whether you are any type of artist or any type of subject matter expert, you've really got to work your craft. And 90% of it seems to be not about your talents and your skills and your expertise, but on how you go about marketing yourself. And that without marketing yourself and adequately knowing how marketing works, social media works, and the world of business works, you're really just not going to get ahead, because the competition is just like ridiculous. And there's some amazing talented artists out there and creative talented people out there. And even in the world of business, how are you going to differentiate yourself? How does your CV stand out from somebody else's CV? How does your business stand out from somebody else's business? So it's so standing out to me that 99% of what you do is less about the actual physical product of what you do and about how you market yourself, get yourself to market. I mean, you really got to understand business. You've got to be professional. You've got to have good headshots. You've got to understand how press works. You've got to know who the influencers are in your market, who the press contacts are in your market. You've got to be on social media. You've got to be active. And yes, it is a full-time job. That's why people hire me and my company to take them there, because it's literally, I mean, it can take hours out of your day. But it doesn't necessarily have to take that much time. I think the more you do it, the better you become and the faster you get at it. So definitely, I think getting to these kind of events and the kind of knowledge and sharing that's going on is just absolutely powerful. So get off your butt and go and do some networking, go and do some research, figure out who your influencers are in your marketplace and the press writers, and get on social media and start building a profile for yourself. Do it now, do it now, do it.
Right, so we're down to our last, third and final speaker for the night. I'm looking really forward to the next speaker. Been stalking her Instagram for the past week, and really looking forward to the insight she's going to be sharing with us on digital marketing, something that is so important for us in the modern music age. Our third and final speaker is Kohlstadt from the agency Shift One Digital. She's a serial entrepreneur and speaker who knows how to use digital marketing and social media to grow business and build a brand that people love. She founded Shift One Digital in 2011 and then the Digital Marketing Academy in 2011. She recently launched #AskDK, a YouTube show where she shares her knowledge on digital marketing and entrepreneurship. Everybody give it up for Kohlstadt.
So yeah, I'm going to be talking you through social media marketing, and I think there are a lot of people here who know probably a lot more about social media than I do. It's such a new thing. It's literally only a couple of years old, and even people who are like the CEOs of Twitters, they've got their own secret accounts that they're testing different things and trialing different things on. So nobody can say that they know social media. And I've worked in social media now for 6 years, running my own agency, and I must say that it's only in the last year that I've really started to get it. It's really just started to clicking in my head. And what I want to share with you is literally like the epiphany that I have, and that is that social media really doesn't work for brands. So social media doesn't work for businesses, and it's actually not a platform or platforms that were created for companies to be on. Obviously companies are there because it's like the emperor's new clothes. They just got to be doing this thing, and everyone's talking about social media, and there's social media conferences happening all the time, and everybody is like, okay, I've got my social media and I've got my following, and it's this vanity number, and all these brands are competing against each other. But actually it doesn't work for brands. Social media was made for people. It was made for individuals, and that's why you guys sitting here, it's much more exciting for me to be talking to you than it is to be talking at like a conference where I'm talking to people who are selling tires or selling, whatever they're selling. because you're selling yourselves. And that's what really makes it exciting, because social media is made for you, and I'm sure that you already have worked that out for yourself. Okay, so let me first tell you a little bit about my journey. I started life as a marketing manager, worked in advertising, worked in London a bit, worked in the UK a bit, worked in online gaming for 6 years, and then I started my own company. And so when I started my company, I started this journey of, okay, personal branding, and I wrote this my first blog that I wrote was something called 5 People Who Should Never Design Your Website. And I did what you, Mr. Myers, said. I bammed it out to every press email contact I could skive off the internet. So I just hoarded all these press email addresses that I could go and find. You know, if you buy a magazine and you open the front of a magazine, you can find people's email addresses in the front of a magazine. It's amazing. So I just mailed everyone, and Jeremy Maggs, which you probably never heard of him, but he called me. Well, his person called me, and they're like, yeah, Jeremy thought your article was okay, so do you want to come on the show? I was like, yeah, please. So I went on the show, and then I maximized that 5 minutes of fame, like you've no idea. I put it on the front page of my website, and I burst it out everywhere, obviously, where I could. And about a year or two later, I get a call from a really nice brand, and they say, oh, we saw you on the Jeremy Maggs show. You must really know your stuff. If Jeremy would interview you, then you must really be famous. And I was like, yes. It's true. And then, and they came on board as a client. So it is all cuck and bullshit. But if you're not doing it, nobody else is going to do it for you. And so this is the thing that I find about South Africans. We are so, I don't know what, false humility. You know, if you see Charlize Theron, you'd be like, don't look at Charlize. She's going to get a big head. She's not even South African anymore. She doesn't even have the accent. You know, don't even look at her. But what is wrong with us? Why can't we laud each other and have some fandom going and be like, oh my gosh, you know, and run up to each other and ask for autographs. And maybe it does happen in certain segments and that. But we've really got to get over ourselves and start self-promoting. I mean, there are kids in America who are 5 years old and they've got YouTube channels with millions of viewers. Millions of viewers. And, you know, my daughter, before I banned her on YouTube because of all the dodginess, and yes, I should never have let her be on watching YouTube, but she was on YouTube watching all these kids shows, and her favorite artists were this little family, and they make stuff, and they open presents all the time, and you know, Play-Doh eggs, and these are her superheroes, you know, and it's YouTube. And you know what she does? She dials in daily for her fix. Daily. So we're not talking about you know, Mr. Mars was talking about opportunities. Your opportunity is every day when the sun rises, and nobody making it for you, and nobody making your bed for you. You're making your own YouTube channel, or you ain't making it at all. So if you're not on YouTube and you don't have a social media platform, and you're kind of camera shy and you don't really want to be on social media, well, I mean, you got it. It's just a bit harder. You can still do it. You know, you can just do it on the basis of your raw talent, because I mean, you got it. But it's just so much easier. Social media is made for you guys. So how many of you feel, okay, I'm working my social media, I got it going? Hey, good. Yeah, good. You can always do more. I know. That's true, exactly. So I encourage you to follow me. Yes, please. Please follow me on YouTube. My YouTube account is just languishing with the lack of followers. But the platform I really love is Instagram. I mean, I just love Instagram because it's like a mini YouTube, and it's a mini blog platform, and it's a mini photo platform all in one. I mean, it's just so awesome. And there are no barriers. I mean, in the olden days, you could not get, I mean, we're talking about press now where you have to beg, borrow, and steal to get picked up. You really have to work it. I mean, you've got your own, TV channel waiting for you. You are Oprah for music. You know, nobody is, you have your own TV show. You don't have to ask someone to be on TV. You can make your own TV show. You can have your own radio station. You can have your own magazine. It's all online. It's all social media. So it's easier, I think, if you're born with a phone in your hand, for the older generation, me, there's some learning curves. There's some learning curves there. But it does take time. It does take time to build trust. Now, there's only one thing that builds trust, and that is being your authentic you. Now, somebody asked a question about being bombastic versus not being bombastic. So if your authentic you is to be bombastic, then you've got to be bombastic. Like, don't pretend to be an orphan-hugging tree hugger if you really just want to drive around in a Lamborghini with a new girl every day. If that's your style, that's your style. You've got to own it, But whatever your brand is, whoever you are, you've got to be authentic. And your gentle, quiet, quirky way, there are people who like that. That's the great thing. It's like no matter how obscure you are, your mom really loves you, and even if your mom doesn't love you, there's someone on social media who will love you. I mean, ask me, I get loads of people contacting me, telling me how much they love me. Really, I do. I got a lot of fans, and they do love me. Long time. But it does take time. So if you look at the way media has adapted and the way we consume media has changed so much. I mean, obviously it's come all the way from scrolls and books to newspaper. Now it was TV, and now it's all online. And I mean, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. If you look at the amount of time that people were spending online, in the olden days, it was like 36 minutes a day. Fast track to last year. And I think this year it's probably even just ridiculously more. How many of you still watch TV?
Does Netflix count?
No, because Netflix is just awesome and it's TV set free. So how many of you watch YouTube instead of TV? See? You see, how many of you have TV on, but you're on YouTube or Reddit or like... So the way we've consumed digital media has completely changed, and the power has shifted from the publications into your hands. But your problem is you're so busy consuming cuck on TV that you're not making any art on digital, on social. Like, you have got to be making creative art on your social media platforms, just the way that you practice your skill every single day. You work in your instruments, and just be recording that stuff, because your life is a reality show, and I hope you get that already. I'm sure you already do, right? You get that? Yeah? Yeah? Like, people want to follow your life. It's true. And the millennials are used to having these digital relationships and having these virtual relationships. And for them, it's normal, and even people even younger than millennials who are your customers, they're completely used to having digital relationships. It's like a normal thing for them. And they need a fix every day. There's no such thing as writing a blog once a month. In the olden days, we wrote a blog once a month. These days, if you don't post 3 Instagram stories, you're sucking big time. And you're losing followers. They need their fix of you. It's like TV. Like, remember in the old days when movies still came out on the cinema, and you'd go to the cinema and you'd watch a movie and you'd fall in love with these characters and you want to see them again, but you have to wait 20 years in some cases for like the second episode of whatever to come out. And then they came up with, I have a great idea. Let's make little mini movies and call them a series. But then I still have to wait a week, and sometimes, like, when is Game of Thrones coming out? In a year? A year and a half? I have to wait a year and a half, and then it's over so quickly. It's over so quickly. I know. I mean, they've got everybody there all dressed up. Why don't they just make it a 2-hour show? Just give them more words. I would, like... So people are now tuning into YouTube like they tune into a TV show. And yes, your life is interesting. And yes, it's hard work. It's hard work. So in the olden days, we would speak to our neighbors. We actually knew our neighbors' names and we chatted to them, and now we hide away from them in the shops when we see them. Like, oh my God, awkward. Do not want to see my neighbor. I don't know why. Don't know why, but I don't like to see them. And so basically, word of mouth is no longer, I mean, in Joburg, I think they still visit each other because there's nothing else to do but have friends and go to braais. But I mean, here in Cape Town, obviously, we get out the house and that's just so, let's explore the beautiful outdoors. But social media is absolutely where word of mouth happens. So if you want to be known, social media is the way to go, obviously, because that's how people share things. These days, people won't even watch a video if it hasn't been already shared a number of times and liked by their friends. So you are literally the star of your own reality show. The world is waiting for your content. The world is waiting for your awesomeness. I mean, you need to know what your brand is. Like, you've got to get a handle on who you are and what makes you unique. And please, dear God, you have to stand out. Because there are a lot of people out there that look like you. A lot of people. And I know your mom said you're unique and special, and you are, but you've got to really just tap into that uniqueness. So you've got to take the time to sit and take a piece of paper and write down, what is my brand? What makes me unique? Why am I different? What's my story? What's my angle? Who's like me out there? I mean, do you think Lady Gaga dressed like that because she actually wanted to dress like that? Or the Antwerp. That whole persona, and now they probably have had to actually tattoo those tattoos onto their bodies for real. So that's a bit rough when your persona becomes so famous that you have to become it. But I'm sure they're not crying when they look at their bank accounts. So you have to stand out. You have to stand out because, yes, you need to stand out. I mean, a lot of people look like you, a lot of people sound like you, you've got to be different. And so figure it out. Take the time to read a book on branding. Mr. Myers once again told us to read books. Pick up a book on branding, personal branding, standing out. What are you going to do? Follow some other people and figure it out for yourself. Because the world is literally waiting for you and for your content, but they don't want anything hard sell. So this is where it becomes difficult, because somehow whenever we talk about ourselves, we become spastic. It's like we either hard promote ourselves or we under promote ourselves. We can't talk about ourselves. What is it? It's just this weirdness. Like, I cannot put my content on my private Facebook page. All this like Dylan Kohlstadt, and it's all branded Dylan Kohlstadt. I've got a logo, and I can't put it on I cringe to death when it goes. My staff the other day accidentally posted something on my actual private Facebook page that I never look at in any case, but I was cringing so badly because I was like, oh no. I just feel like it's so hard sell. But it's not hard sell if you are solving a need, and if you are meeting a need and solving a problem. And if that problem is that someone is depressed and wants your sad songs while they slit their wrists and drink wine because it's Valentine's Day and their date never turned up. That never happened to me. You're gonna sing those sad songs, Matt, make them cry, because that's the need. So you need to understand who your audience are and read your audience, like we heard, and give them the tunes that they want, but also the tunes that come out of you, and hopefully it's the same thing. But you've got to find your market, and don't do hard sell, because nobody likes hard sell. And I mean, I can't tell you guys, you're the musos, but fake it till you make it. There's a lot of content out there that has been already written and already created. And I'm not going to tell you to copy anything, because we're not about copying, we're about originality, but let it inspire you. Let's put it that way. So if somebody's already written an amazing article about another writer and you can't write, take that article and kind of don't copy it, like just follow it. Okay, maybe take 7 articles and smoosh them together and put it out there. But you know what? It's, standing on the shoulders of giants, we call it, not plagiarism. Not plagiarism. And for goodness sakes, pick up a book and read it. So I was speaking to some very intelligent people there from the West Coast. And what he said most intelligently is that most of being a musician is actually being a business person and understanding social media, digital marketing, business. And so when I was about 24, I deduced that I was not the smartest person I'd ever met. And so I decided to embark on an exercise of self-education, because I'm not even going to tell you the city I was born in. It's too embarrassing. But let's just say I escaped. And I decided I was going to put my brain through brain gym, because my education was so appalling. One did not go to a private school. And I refused to let myself read any book that was junk food for the brain. And for about 10 years, I only visited the classics section. When I first picked up Far From the Madding Crowd, I couldn't read it. Could not read this. I was like, what? It was the hardest thing to read one paragraph after the next, but the most beautiful, incredible writing that you've ever experienced. And I did, yes, battle through War and Peace. And sure, there was some skipping that happened, but I marked that book as read. So what I've done now is I'm now forcing myself to read business books, because yes, I would rather be reading Game of Thrones, and I admit that I just finished The Knights of the Seven Kingdoms yesterday and didn't read my business book, but I encourage you to do as I'm doing, and that is educate yourself in the world that you are lacking in, because sure, you're good at music, but do you know PR? Do you know social media? Do you know business? Do you know accounting? Do you know how to register your own business and create a PDY and have run it yourself as a brand? So my goal, and yes, I wrote my goals down, thank you, Mr. Myers. I wrote them down, actual goals of how much I'm going to weigh and how much I'm going to gym. And I'm actually going to write a book this year. I'm going to start it, and I've committed to it. Every single month when I write my blog, did I just say that? It's going to be a chapter going towards my book. So I'm going to plan it out, and I'm going to write it, and it's going to be the beginning. But I forced myself to commit to 20 books. I have to read 20 business books. That's not unachievable. It's just more than one a month. A lot more than one a month. But so I'd love to encourage you to challenge yourself as well, to become smarter. Become a whole lot smarter. And why wouldn't you stand on the shoulders of giants in any case? If I had to ask you to tell me the most intelligent thought you've ever had, it would probably be incredibly profound. But if I told you, you can have access to any of the greatest minds that have ever existed. From the original philosophers, the Greek and the Romans, you can read their thoughts. You can have access to the smartest people that have ever existed. So if you don't have your own intelligent, original thoughts, you can read other people's thoughts and become smarter, and then maybe you can talk about it. But it's an investment in yourself. So Mr. Buffett, he reads 8 hours a day. Mr. Buffet, he reads 8 hours a day, and he sees it as an investment in yourself. Anybody heard of Casey Neistat? Yes. Whoop, 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 whoop. I mean, he films the whole day and edits the whole night and posts his content up the next morning. And when he committed to posting a video every day, his followers more than doubled every year. More than doubled. And it's literally it's the commitment that he's gone through. Anybody heard of Gary Vee? Gary Vee is the man. I don't always understand exactly what he's saying, because there's a little bit of Gary Vee-ness happening, but the energy and the excitement is just palpable. And I want to share something with you. People out there are really struggling. This is my epiphany. People are really struggling out there. It's hard. Life is hard, okay? So if your content can help them in any way to navigate their lives and make their lives easier, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you be sharing content that's helping people to get off their butts and get motivated and start their lives and navigate life? And maybe they do that just by following you. Maybe you inspire them that if you can do it, well, I think I can do it too. And you show how you're getting up at 5 in the morning and you're tying your shoelaces, not because you wanna, but because you want to be a better person. And that's part of who you are and part of your commitment. Casper Lee, again, so many people that are doing it. And here we've got DJ Ask Jr., 5 years. Yes, sir.
Casper Lee, another trivia. I asked you to look up Trevor Jones. Trevor Jones mentored him. I'll leave it at that.
There we go.
He's a multi-millionaire in pounds, not in rands.
Yes, sir.
Got a little house down here in Fishhook somewhere. Casper Lee.
And we can all be Casper Lee, but you've got to be committed, and they work hard. But you work hard too, so why don't you just film it at the same time? So, the main thing though is that once you start, you can't stop. You can't have this sudden burst, like, this New Year's resolution where you just suddenly get up out of bed and then you decide, okay, I'm going to do all this stuff, and 3 days later, or maybe even 20 days later, it's all gone to pot. So once you start with this whole journey, you can't stop. Your followers need feeding. You've got to carry on. You've got to carry on. And as usual, there are no overnight successes. You know that. You know how much hard work you're putting into building your craft, into building a name for yourself, and to working it out there. Just keep at it, because the harder you work, the people who work the hardest and just don't quit, those are the ones that succeed at the end of the day. And yes, I know you're busy. And you're like, I'm busy, I've got a full-time job. How am I supposed to be doing all the social media stuff as well? Well, you just have to. So, that's why I have a business, because people pay me to do it. But if you don't have money and you can't afford me, then you have to do it yourself. But I have a great suggestion for you, because there was something that, I think it was Mr. Mara said again, writing. Not a lot of people can write. Because, grammar, that whole thing. So I'm not saying you have to suddenly become a grammar Nazi, because if that's not your style, you have to be true to your style. But if you want to write and you can't write, there are a million misguided youth out there that study journalism and cannot find a job and will intern for you for free, really, free. So, and it's the same, you can find film students to intern for you, Just ask. If you don't ask, how do you know if it's going to happen? So what happens if I Google your name? How many of you have Googled your name lately? Such vanity. So much vanity. Did you find anything good? Did you rank for your own name? Good job. Yeah. Anybody here rank for their name?
I do.
One.
My name's unique. There is only one other in Germany. It doesn't matter.
That's very nice. It's much harder if your name is not unique. Yeah. So it's your job when you leave here. You've got 6 months. And then I want to know, I'm going to Google each of your names and I want to see you ranking. And the easiest way is to write an article and get it picked up in the press. Number 1. Number 2, the other easy way is to open your social media accounts and start making content. Yes, even a LinkedIn page ranks. Yeah, LinkedIn. When I type your name into Google, LinkedIn comes up and there's your profile and links to your videos. So the minimum you should be doing is having all your social media accounts on every single channel and actively publishing to them. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you leave this session and you don't change one thing, just one thing, I ask you, when you leave this tonight, what are you going to do differently tomorrow? Because you will wake up exactly where you are today in 1 year's time, nay, in 20 years' time, if you don't start doing something differently, mañana, exasa, tomorrow. If you don't start doing something differently, ain't nothing gonna change. I'm reading a fantastic book, I'm halfway through. It's called The Slight Edge. He says 20 years is coming for all of us. In other words, most of us will be here in 20 years' time, right? 20 years' time, 20 years is coming for all of us. Those who every single day choose to do the grunt work, they don't eat that burger, they go for that run, they feed their social media followers, they write that blog, they read that book, they save that money, they tell their loved ones that they love them. And they meditate, and they say 3 things that make them grateful. If you do that every single day, in 20 years' time, you will be successful, happy, and wealthy. Guaranteed. But if every day you do not do those things, in 20 years' time, you will not be successful, happy, and wealthy, and you will not know why. You will not know why. You will feel somebody has robbed you. Somebody sold you a lemon because you thought you were going to be rich and famous, and somehow when we are all born, there's this thing inside of our minds that tells us we're all going to be rich and famous. We're all going to be rich and famous. And yes, it is within your power to be rich and famous, but ain't nobody going to do it for you. Every single day, you do the grunt work, you put the seeds in the ground, and then something will change. Because today is your new year. It's Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day. What's changed between 2017 and 2018 for you? Has anything changed for you? Is the needle lifted? Yeah? Things are happening for you? Amaze balls. If something's not happening for you, go and do some thinking, figure out what you're going to change, and tomorrow something's going to be different. The power is in your hands. You could either be a Palm Pilot. Anybody remember a Palm Pilot? No, me either. A Nokia or a BlackBerry. I mean, sorry, I know you're looking at me with them big eyes. Go away. One more thing. So I can just hear the marketing manager at BlackBerry going to the CEO and saying, I've got this great idea. Why don't we just release, our apps into the wild and let people create apps for us? And the CEO was like, no, we don't do that. We create all our own apps. And I can just hear the marketing manager of Palm Pilot saying to the CEO, we've got this beautiful Palm Pilot. Why don't we put a phone into it? Because now I've got a Palm Pilot and a phone. I've got these 2 heavy things. No, we don't make phones. We're not in the phone industry. So if you don't innovate, you will be obsolete. Just like BlackBerry and Palm Pilot. And I want you to innovate. I want you to be different. And I want you to not be obsolete. I want you to be the Apple or the Samsung or whoever you see as being. Because the world is your blank canvas. But sometimes a blank canvas, for those of you who are artists, can be the most intimidating thing. Ever picked up a piece of paper and had to write something and you're like, songwriter, and it just doesn't come. But your world is your canvas. And social media has the power to take who you are and absolutely just explode it, for good or for bad. But the world is really waiting for you and for your story. And you are the star of your own reality show. All you need to do is change one thing tomorrow. And your life can change. You can change the trajectory of your life tomorrow. Thank you, goodbye. Yes, ma'am.
Which books, business or otherwise, would you say have been the most influential to you?
I think The Slight Edge has been amazing. There's this unbelievable book called Never Split the Difference. Oh my gosh, you've got to read it. It's about negotiation and the psychology behind negotiating. It's written by the FBI negotiator who negotiates with terrorists. And I use it when I'm sending my quotes to clients. I use them strategies. I promise you, you can thank me later, because you're going to go into these negotiations with these deals and you're going to get without Vaseline. And so, read that book. Read that book because it will help you, and you can be so nice and real and so sweet and kind and not have a bad experience. Yeah, so those 2 are my top 2 for right now.
Any more questions? How do you deal with that?
Yes, so I have this troll. I have a troll, my own troll. And he always says these horrible things and catches me out and so I try to be nice and just reply. And I find that usually when he's trolled me, my followers will climb on and be extra nice. So I find my followers defend me. There's only one guy, but I'm sensitive. So rude. So for those of you who have followers, don't have followers.
Like H&M, for example, what recently happened that their statement was quite simple. So like I'll say it's simple, we apologize. Whereas other companies, when some shit goes down, they're like the whole spiel on the status of it wrong. So what would be your approach with something about
Look, firstly, let's be clear, all publicity is great publicity. So yeah, I think publicity is great. And then secondly, how you deal with it is important. So I always say to my clients, if somebody's like moaning about something, the way you respond can win other customers over. For example, I bought a pair of Tsonga boots and they broke, and I raved at the call center agent for 6 months on email. Eventually I thought, screw you, I'm going to rank for Tsonga boots. And I opened a Pinterest account and I went on Twitter and I had just clicked send and I was going to outrank them with all my SEO powers in the world. And I literally clicked send and I got a phone call, and the rep who looked after social media had power, whereas the poor fool that did email call center had no power. And so she called me, she sent me a new pair of boots and she fixed my old boots, and I put that all over social media, and that was like a great story. Now I'm a huge Tsonga boots fan. So it's literally just the way that you deal with it. I only delete people if they're not being constructive and they don't genuinely have a problem, they just won't let it go and they're actually idiots. Then you can just read their comments by job. Otherwise, just be nice. Figure out what they want. What do you want? It's also in the negotiation book. Yes, sir. Pages that are over 2,500 words. They're called authority pages. So if you have your own website and you want to rank in Google, firstly you need to know which words you want to rank for. Obviously your own name, number one. But number two, let's say you want to rank for ukulele player. Ukulele threesome. Wait. And then you have to write an authority page on ukuleles. What is the ukulele? Where was it founded? Who were the first original ukulele players? Some classical ukulele pieces, like obviously Israel with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you want to put that in there. And then you want to say, and our ukulele pieces, and our approach, so you kind of build the story up, and it's an authority piece on ukuleles, because that's what Google wants. It wants a well-researched with pictures and video, 2,500 word long, beautiful, incredibly thorough, comprehensive, well-researched, not just blah, 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 drivel. It's got to be literally like a Wikipedia, but more interesting. That is the key.
I'm doing an act sort of nowhere else today. Do the hula or the lady. That's sort of just find my mark. So how do I go about it?
You play the ukulele while doing the hula hoop. That is so rad. Wow! Wow! That's so cool. How do you do that? Yeah, so freak act, circus act. No. But is there anybody else that does something similar in the world? There's got to be something, he's doing something similar, not necessarily the exact same instruments and combination. And then you find those people that follow them, and then you invite them to like your page. And then you also message them. Because there's this very powerful thing. Oh my gosh. Mr. Myers isn't listening, which is great, because I'm going to give you the most powerful tip. Are you all listening? You can thank God you came tonight. There's this amazing thing called direct message on every social media platform. Did you know you can DM anyone in the world? Did you know that? Have you ever done it? So the only thing is your story has to be incredibly powerful, slick, and it can't be self-focused, and you must think of the person, how are you helping them? What is their job? So if it's the A&R of Sony, I don't know if I'm using the right words, then you need to think, what is this person's goal? What are his jobs? What are his KPIs, key performance indicators? What will indicate, what makes him get a bonus at the end of the day? And then you've got to word it in a way that solves their needs, not your selfish need, you know? Word it for them and give them something, you know? Give them something. So like if you can in any way offer something for free to this person, I know you said charge, but like if you're a videographer, offer to give away, you know, like can I do a video for you for free just to showcase my skills? Because this person is literally being hit up all the time. So you've got to find a way to cut through the clutter and do your research. You literally try different approaches. So what I did was I wrote a script. I wrote 3 or 4 scripts called social selling. I actually have a course on it. And then I actually DM people like on Twitter, on LinkedIn. It's amazing. Most people will respond to you very warmly. But there's this trick that you've got to do. Do I have 1 minute? Oh, okay, 30 seconds. There's this other trick. You've got to make them think they're your friend. So you first go and stalk them for about 2 weeks on every social media platform. Like Mr. Myers, he's all over social media. The man is a genius. And all you need to do is like all of his comments and posts and engage and talk back and oh yes and oh he's going to this thing, I'm there too. Oh he's going there, okay I'm there as well. Oh you again. And then when you DM him, he'll be like, oh yeah, you. Friends, remember. So warm people up on social media. It's not stalking. Don't be creepy. But I've done that and I've literally like closed sales. And when I met the guy, I don't think he realized that I didn't know him because we instantly were best friends and speaking and we shook hands on the deal right there at the table. And all I'd done was go on his Instagram, it was closed, and I requested access. Then I liked a few of his posts and commented. And then I went on a few of his other channels and did the same thing. And then when I DM'd him on LinkedIn, I was like, hey, how's it going? Have fun. And then we closed the sale. Social selling is the shit. And there's nothing stopping you except yourself and your own ridiculous lies that you listen to and believe. So don't listen to it anymore. You can do it.
Yeah.